such an important decision. That pressure leads to overthinking and frustration. It is possible to make a full game with any programming languages, but these two are highly recommended as industry standards. Before we start discussing different scenarios of choosing a game engine, I would like to give a small disclaimer that this is my point of view based on experience I have into the industry, and it is okay to have a different perspective on the topic. Choosing a game engine can feel surprisingly tough, especially for those who just getting started because it feels like such an important decision. That pressure leads to overthinking and frustration, but we can tackle it by breaking down our perspective and simplifying the decision making process. With this message in mind, we will start our discussion today. There are many types of scenario based on which we can select our game engine, like your knowledge about games, what type of games we want to make, what are the skill set you and your team have, or it also depending upon your personal and financial situations. Well, I can't cover everything, but I will give you general idea to choose without overthinking it. Today we will be discussing based on skill level and interest with few other key considerations. For those who selected programming, it's essential to begin with the basics of programming. While this may be not a unique advice, experienced programmers knows how important it is to have a solid fundamental understanding of a data structures and object behaviors. A great place to start is Howard's CS50 and GD50 courses, both which are completely free. Link in the description. In GD50 course, you will learn the Love 2D programming language, which provides valuable insights into how game engine executes code and render graphics on the screen. If you already know programming fundamentals, then C++ and C# are the best recommendation for game development. Under C#, there are game engines like Unity and Godot. If you're more into libraries, use Monogame. For C++, we have the best game engine, Unreal. For libraries in C++, there are links into descriptions only for advanced programmers. It is possible to make a full game with any programming languages, but these two are highly recommended as industry standards. For people who don't want to change their one true love programming language, then for JavaScript user, Construct 3, GameMaker Studio and Phaser will be the easy to learn options. For Python users, it's Pygame, and for Java, it's JMonkey Engine or LimbJDX. For choosing a game engine, consider how much time you need to invest to learn a new programming language and how much important that feature is for your game mechanic. If you just want a job as a junior game developer, then only focus on C++ and C# game engines, especially Unity and Unreal. If you have an indie team or a solo, you should also select from the Unity or Unreal because you can easily maintain production flow with the help of community support. For others who only wants to make games for fun, use whatever I suggested above or make game with Ruby. Who cares? Let's talk about 2D artist. I'm assuming that either you are a 2D artist or you or your team wants to make a 2D game. With that consideration in mind, I would like to recommend you Unity, GameMaker Studio or Godot. Unreal is not on the list because it has less built-in tools for 2D games, but you can still make a 2D or 2.5D games in it. Unity and GameMaker Studio have so many built-in tools as well as asset store with a full of tools and assets to make any type of 2D games. There are so many great examples of games which made by these engines like Ori and the Blind Forest, Two Crown, Among Us, all by Unity, and Katana Zero Undertale by GameMaker Studio. Don't worry, your game will be in good hands. With new angle, we will start discussing about 3D artists. For 3D games, you should have understanding of 3D art. For any solo, it will be really hard to maintain 3D production pipeline. Trust me, I am saying it from the experience. So as a solo or a small team, we need to rely on asset store or a ready-made asset pack. And there are only two engines with high quality asset stores, Unity and Unreal. For recent time, Godot also released the 3D game features, but I never tried it, so I can't say anything about that. All three of them support all major platforms like desktop, PS, Xbox, Nintendo, ER, etc. Games created with these engines are endless, so there are links into description to Steam pages to list games made with these engines. Now it's time for my recommendation. I would like to make it really easy. If you only want to be a part of 3D games, then go for Unreal. But if you or your company wants to make a 2D, 3D, or a combination of both games like Cult of Llama, then my recommendation is Unity for more customizability. Let's talk about musicians or musical games. It will be a lot harder to make a musical game, but if you do it right, then have a higher percentage of building a successful game. I will make easy for you to select. If you don't have any knowledge about any of these engines, then choose Unity for 3D and VR type of games like Beat Sabers. If you don't want to know complicated game engines, Godot and GameMaker Studio are for you. Don't overthink it. All of them have a visual scripting if you don't like programming. Now we are going to discuss about complete beginners. We are talking about scenarios where the person has no idea how games get produced. He or she does play the games but don't know how people make them. So first thing is to know different professions involved into the industry, starting from game designs to platform to sell your games. And remember, you don't have to know everything about it, but at least have a good understanding of how production pipeline works, what thinking process behind creating a tool or an asset. That's how you get to know where you fit into the game production pipeline. Also try some of it, get your hands dirty, so you think clearly what you like and what you don't. So trust me, you don't want to know what is the best engine for you when you don't know what is a game engine is. Okay, so now let's talk about jobs in game industry and what is the best game engine for it. So we already talk about developers and programming languages. So for 2D you go only for Unity, and for 3D you can go for both Unity and Unreal. For 3D it is important to know right tools and also the art style of the game. If you are into stylized, cartoony or hand painted, Unity is the easy to learn and best for it. Most of the company going with this art style always uses Unity, and Unreal is for more realism and photorealistic art style, but Unity 6 is also promising realistic look and art style as well. Have you seen the Time Ghost video by Unity? Now it comes to final scenario, which is my personal favorite, which is you already know a game engine. If you already know a game engine, then stay with it until you make a production ready game. Simple fact is, you jump between engines, then you will never learn all stages of the game development. If you have a beginner or intermediate skill in any game engine, you should highly consider to stick with it. Don't let others to decide what is perfect tools for you or not. You don't need to learn a whole new engine just because a YouTuber said so. So after watching this video, if you choose a game engine, then continue with it, and you will know when to change the engine when you have a good level of knowledge about the game productions. Until then, keep learning about making games regardless what engine you use. Next, soon enough, I will make a video about how game production pipeline works, so subscribe for that.